So I get a lot of letters in regard to my work with emotional release and trauma recovery, where my method embraces ancient Eastern traditions and cannabis plant medicine. And I wanted to share one of these letters with you and talk about it because it brings up a question that I get a lot about cannabis causing anxiety. So here's the letter, and she says, "Hello, Becca. I am feeling such gratitude. After 35 years of no cannabis use, I started up again for medical use, sleep. Then I started using it for enjoyment, and this quickly morphed into using it for meditation and inquiry. Amazing," she says, all in uppercase. "I describe the feeling as being opened up, the armor dissolving or dropping temporarily, and immense quiet in the mind. I was feeling confused because it was clearly making emotions more pronounced, not dulling or sedating them. And now it is very evident to me that cannabis is a spiritual tool that clearly works for me. Because of your work, I feel validated and clear, as in dropping the story that I'm doing something shameful or bad. Love your honesty and sharing, Linda." Well, you're very welcome. And I'm an open book. There's a long and revered tradition in the East of using cannabis for achieving higher consciousness. Actually, I have a link to the article about that in my Quick Start Guide to Conscious Cannabis. So if you haven't downloaded that yet, I invite you to do so. It's on my website. We as Westerners, we get confused about this idea of higher consciousness, as these ancient cultures with their holy men think in terms of enlightenment, which is a very confusing term for us as Westerners. I mean, I roamed around for decades looking for enlightenment when really what I was searching for was how to release difficult emotions and dysfunctional relationship patterns that, kept my life in turmoil. And then I found it. And it's what I teach today, emotional therapy. It's a training that emerges from ancient Eastern yogic tradition that's enhanced with the judicious use of cannabis plant medicine. And this work includes a daring kind of meditation practice because it's stronger than the quiet sitting of mindfulness meditation. It's a more masculine, challenging approach where we're actively training both sides of the brain so that you can get to a point where you're able to quickly get back to center and calmness. It creates emotional fluidity efficiently and effectively. Now, this is where the questions come up with cannabis and folks reporting to me that it's causing them anxiety. And this can be very true. We're on the cutting edge of conscious cannabis, and it entails experimentation and exploration. And this is what we do in our groups, focusing on what to do and how to do it. I call it field reports, and I get field reports all the time. Thank you very much. Keep them coming. And what we've learned in regard to conscious exploration with cannabis is that you want to start low and go slow. In my cannabis elevation ceremonies, which serve as our laboratory, I suggest a 2-to-1 ratio of CBD to THC. And this is a very gentle glide into this exploration with my emotional therapy. Now, for very sensitive individuals, much less THC is needed, like 20-to-1, 20 times more CBD than THC. And as Linda brought up in her letter, her experimentation with cannabis was, in her words, clearly making emotions more pronounced, not dulling or sedating them. And this is where the magic happens. That measured psychoactivity within the framework of our active meditations makes the difficult emotion that's very present for you accentuated to you. And as I say, you can then meet it, greet it, and release it. The art comes in writing this energy. Now, if you take too much, just do less cannabis next time. We know that cannabis is very safe and a very forgiving plant medicine. But a note here, I'm not a big proponent of the high THC distillate that's pure THC, upwards to 80 and 90%. I've heard it referred to as crack THC, and it's not, in my opinion, a vehicle to higher consciousness. It's a vehicle to numbing. And maybe that's where you're at this point in your life. So what do you think? What have you discovered? Have you experimented? Do you have a field report? Drop down to the comments and let me know, okay? I'm Becca Williams, and I want you to lead a magnificent life, and I want to help you do that.